Hey guys, welcome back to the CCC. We are continuing our theme of refreshing cocktails this week with one that I'm pretty excited about. I know Rysse definitely is because of the core ingredient. As we've done in the past, we're bringing the kitchen back to the bar, this time bringing in watermelon. We're mixing it with Mezcal, which makes somebody very happy. And I think even for those of you that are still a little apprehensive about Mezcal, I think this is a really approachable, easy, refreshing cooler. In fact, I'm going to use the word cooler because I think this drink should be like a Mezcal melon cooler, something like that as a name. I don't love the actual name of the drink, which is called an Aftershower Funk. I will finally admit we've found a drink with a worse name than White Lady.
Yeah, this is the worst actual name, but rest assured, we did not make this up. We actually pulled this out of our Mezcal book. It comes from a bar called Estereo in Chicago. It is actually called Aftershower Funk. We did not do that. But its description is fresh like agua fresca.
Right.
So I think that's key. And you know, you're calling it a cooler. It's supposed to be fresh. It's supposed to taste like an agua fresca. And I think it does.
Yeah.
And I have to say, in general, I am not a huge watermelon fan. I like watermelon two ways. One is in a salad with feta and mint, which is good since I have a shit ton of mint. And the other is with Mezcal, because I think that they complement each other just so beautifully.
The smoky and the sweet. I will say though, the one concern I have with this drink, and there's nothing we can do about this because it just depends on the watermelon, is I find that most melons in general, cantaloupe especially, or honeydew, or watermelon, you can taste 10 of them, and over 10 weeks of watermelon, and 1 week they're great, 1 week they're just blah. So I do think this drink's gonna go the way the watermelon goes. If it's a good sweet watermelon, I think it'll be really good. If it's a flat watermelon, which I've made this drink before and it was not good, because the watermelon itself was just bland.
But you know what? You run into that problem a lot when you're using fresh ingredients. It's the same with the jalapeno, right? You don't know how spicy it's gonna be until you start.
Yes, but it's still at its core taste, it still has a little heat, right? Or like you do citrus, lime, lemon, orange, grapefruit, any of those herbs, they're relatively predictable. Like even peaches or berries. I feel like the melons in general, for some reason, I feel like can really affect the quality of the drink, in my opinion, which I'm sure you noticed on the recipe card for this, it calls for a half-ounce simple, but it actually makes a note to sort of adjust as the watermelon goes.
That's true.
So,
When I made it before, I found that it needed to be a little thicker, and I think I ended up subbing in agave and using a little bit more of it just to up the sweet and also up the viscosity of it.
yeah, you just wanted to say viscosity. I caught you on that one. You have a checklist on the side of the camera for your 3 words you got to get?
Yeah, totally.
You get bonus points?
That
The other thing I was thinking about on this one, and in fact, I may have actually tried it. This may be good to bring in one of the Ancho Reyes liqueurs.
For sure. If you have an ancho laying around, go ahead and bust him out and throw in half an ounce. Either one, actually.
Yeah, I agree. So the drink, at its core, Mezcal, along with watermelon. And then one key, though, to this one is it adds lime juice. That's because the watermelon itself is pretty flat. It doesn't have a lot of acidity to it. So the lime adds a little bit of that acidity, that little bite that's needed. The other key ingredient here, and I'm not normally a big fan of salted rim glasses like for margaritas, but it calls for a chili salt, which in the CCC, any kind of salt will do, whether it's chili salt, even just regular salt, if that's all you have. Tahini would work as well. I just want to say tahini. And then I have, if I can share a thank you to the group, I wanted to thank Dave and Elise, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, who gave me this gift of worm salt. And yes, I did say worm salt. It does come from ground up worm larvae with dried chilies and salt. It may be disgusting, but we're going to find out today.
Have fun with that.
I will have fun. You know what? With a Mezcal drink, I think if you're going to drink Mezcal, you got to be a big boy and do some worm salt.
I think that it's a good time to stop and tell people the best way to rim your glass, because people are always trying to do it by just wetting your glass, and it's never going to work by wetting it. And even if you use like a simple syrup, sometimes it'll get gooey and sort of drip down, which is sort of gross. But if you just use a little bit of your lime or any sort of citrus, for this one we'll use lime, and just wet it nicely, and then in a little plate and a saucer or a coaster or whatever you have laying around, just do that number. It's very easy.
And this is why we work well together, because off to the side, I've got my lime ready to go. But I will tell you, take a step further, little detail I learned years ago, bartending. Take a line, slice it down the middle like this guy, make like a little Pac-Man. And then you can actually drag it this way.
Even easier.
Some worm salt, you're using tahini.
That is quite pretty, I will say.
See it or not?
Okay.
Now, the other interesting detail in this drink, and again, we don't have to necessarily follow the exact recipe, but the way the Chicago bar suggested is that we're actually not using a shaker tin or a mixing glass, but we're actually making the drink in the glass itself. You do want to be careful, since we did already rim the glass, to be careful of that when you're pouring in the ingredients, but calls for 2 ice cubes first. And I say 2, it really depends on the size of the cubes. So, just enough to sort of cover the bottom of the glass.
Yeah, I wanted my ice to be clear for this one, but I don't have any smaller clear ones. So I used my very clear large ice cube, and then I just sort of
beat the shit out of it.
Well, not really. No, I actually very gently put a knife in and hammered so that it would split. So actually I have,
Oh, like in Basic Instinct. Ice pick? No, not funny?
You see it.
You didn't see Basic Instinct? All right, so as Sharon Stone suggests here, use an ice pick and break down the large rock. Okay. 1.5 ounces of Mezcal. Now, Rysse, you had mentioned one time you've tried this mixing Mezcal and tequila as well. What were your thoughts on that?
The one other time that I made this, I found that I wanted it a little stronger. So I did the 1.5 Mezcal, and then I added half of tequila as well, in addition.
Isn't that a problem you have with most drinks? This is an equal part between your Mezcal and watermelon, so 1.5 ounces of watermelon as well.
I like your watermelon colored jigger there, Jason.
You like that? Yes. Thank you, Alec. See, I'm full of thank yous today.
So much gratitude.
Gratitude's my attitude.
1/2 ounce of lime.
Okay.
So we're going to do 1/4 ounce of simple, but again, depending on your watermelon, you may want to go up to 1/2 ounce if your watermelon isn't super sweet, which this one.
Yeah. Or if you just like it sweeter. Again, this is the beauty of this cocktail. You can add more lime juice if you need to as well.
Sure.
And then add a few more cubes of ice.
There's my very clear ice.
Very nice. And then just give it just a gentle stir, again, not wanting to disrupt the salted rim. And that's it. You can add a fresh lime wheel if you wanted to. I'm actually keeping mine just like this. I really want to taste the salt.
I think it's pretty. So have these by the pool as your lifestyle cocktail all weekend long. Or as long as you have good watermelon. Or you can cheat and go to Whole Foods and buy yourself a thing of watermelon juice. Thanks, Jason.
There's your thank you.
Enjoy it. Let us know what you guys think of this one.
Yes, and try to stay cool out there. It's pretty brutal out there. So we're doing our part. We're giving you guys the cold drinks. So the rest is on you. Cheers, Rysse.
Cheers, Jason.